Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Common Council organizational meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 18th, and the time is 7:05 p.m. I'll turn to our city clerk, Joanne Marcon, for the calling of the roll.
Mayor Kim Smith,
Here.
Sean McAllister,
Here.
Dan Stevens,
Present.
Stephen Knott,
Present.
Leanne Stokes,
Here.
Larry Jurassic,
Present.
Diane Wolf. Here.
Thank you. Please rise for item 2, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3, the rules of the City of Onalaska Common Council and its subcommittees. This is a harassment-free forum. City Council and subcommittee meetings shall be conducted in a courteous manner. Citizens, council, and committee members shall be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free of slander, obscene remarks, or threats of violence. Sufficient warnings may be given by the sergeant at arms or the chair at any time during the remarks. And in the event that any individual shall violate the rules of decorum as set forth, such person may then be cut off from comment or debate. Item 3 is public input. If there's anyone from the public here this evening that would like to address the Common Council, now is the time to do so. Please begin by stating your name and your address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to address the Common Council this evening? Second call for anyone wishing to address the Common Council this evening. Third and final call for anyone from the public who would like to address the Common Council. Public input is now closed, and we'll move on to item 5, the report from the mayor. Item A is recognition of public service by the standing boards and committees. Every year we have many citizens from the public that serve on our standing boards and committees, and I want to thank them for their service and their participation in our local government. Item B is oath of office for the newly elected officials. I'll turn it over to Joanne Marcon.
All right, we will start with Sean. If you want to come on down, Sean, we'll do it in front of the podium here.
Danny, feel free to stand where you want to take pictures.
For each of the alders tonight, we have a certificate of election. I will read it just for Sean because it's the same thing for all 3. So I will go ahead and read what it says in the certificate of election. It says, I, Joanne Marcon, city clerk for the city of Onalaska, do hereby certify the results of the spring general election held in the city of Onalaska on the 4th day of April, 2023, wherein Sean McAllister was duly elected to the office of 1st District Alderperson of the city of Onalaska for the term of 2 years, commencing on the 18th day of April, 2023. And then we will go ahead and issue Sean's oath. If you wanted to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sean McAllister,
I, Sean McAllister,
having been elected
having been elected
to the office of 1st District Alderperson
to the office of 1st District Alderperson
for the city of Onalaska,
for the city of Onalaska,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of said office
of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to have you sign for me right here. Thank you. All right, and our 2nd District Alderperson, if you want to come on down.
You want me or Diane?
You.
I'll take another 2 years. Oh.
All right, so you have a certificate of election as well, which I'll give to you when we're done. But if you just wanted to raise your right hand and repeat after me, we'll give you your oath. I, Dan Stevens,
I, Dan Stevens,
having been elected
having been elected
to the office of Second District Alderperson
to the office of Second District Alderperson,
for the city of Onalaska,
City of Onalaska,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of said office
of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me.
You want to sign for me there? Thank you.
All right.
I, Stephen Knott,
I, Stephen Knott,
having been elected
having been elected
to the office of Third District Alderperson
to the office of Third District Alderperson
for the city of Onalaska,
for the city of Onalaska,
swear that I will support
swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and the
Wisconsin,
Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of said office
of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Sign me right.
Thank you.
Yes. Congratulations to all of you. We're glad to have you here. Okay, item C, recognition of the council seniority, which is Diane Wolf, Dan Stevens, Stephen Knott, Leanne Stokes, Larry Jurassic, and then Sean McAllister. Do we need a motion on that, or did we just want it read into the record?
Just for the record.
Okay, thank you. And then item D is a proclamation in recognition of Newt Skip Tempty for his service to the city of Onalaska. Newt has retired after 20 years on the Plan Commission. Whereas Newt Skip Tempty was appointed to the Onalaska Plan Commissioner in December of 2003. And whereas Skip's foresight helped shape our city through two major Unified Development Code rewrites in 2006 and 2020, and the new residential developments of Meyer Farm, Nathan Hills, Greens Coulee, and the La Crosse Country Club, and the installation of new technologies into Onalaska, such as telecommunication towers, transmission lines, and electronic billboard signs. And whereas Skip always took the public's opinion into consideration for development projects and was never afraid to ask hard questions of developers or city staff to ensure the best possible outcome for our community. And whereas Skip has been a true partner, researching new ideas and making suggestions for the city's consideration. His passion for learning has not been contained to our city limits as he has traveled all the way around the world. Now, therefore, I, Kim Smith, Mayor of the City of Onalaska, hereby proclaim as follows. Newt Skip Tempty has significantly contributed to the successful implementation of the long-term development vision for our city over the last 20 years, has been a valuable member of the Onalaska Plan Commission, and has made a significant contribution to the quality of Onalaska. Thank you. Consideration and possible action on the following items. Item 6, election of the council president. I'll read our ordinance as a reminder. The Common Council at its first meeting subsequent to the regular election and qualification of new members shall, after organization, annually choose from its members a president of the council in the manner as set forth below, who in the absence of the mayor shall preside at meetings of the council, and during the absence or inability of the mayor shall have the powers and duties of the mayor, except that they shall not have the power to approve an act of the Common Council which the mayor has disapproved by filing objections with the city clerk. When so officiating, the council president shall be referred to as acting mayor. The council president shall be elected for a term of 1 year in office. The council president election shall proceed as follows. Nominations for the council president shall be by floor nominations. The chair shall open the floor for nominations. The candidate shall accept or decline the nomination upon being nominated. Once there are no longer any nomination, the chair shall close the nominations, and after closing the nominations, the candidates may speak one time for up to 3 minutes each. Order of speech the order of speech shall be determined at random. After all candidates have spoken, a roll call vote shall occur. Upon the roll call, each council member shall state the name of the candidate they are voting for. The process shall be repeated until such time as the council president has been chosen by the majority vote. At this time, I will now open the nominations for council president. Leanne Stokes.
I nominate Diane Wolf for council president.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations?
I will accept the
Oh,
nomination.
I forgot that part, sorry. Diane Wolf has accepted. Are there any other nominations for council president? Second call for any other nominations. Third and final call for any other nominations. Diane, you have up to 3 minutes to speak one time regarding your nomination.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the nomination. I'm going to go off script a little bit first, then double back. Earlier today, I stopped by and welcomed a new recent business that they happen to have their first day of business open here in Onalaska, and stopped by like I always do with new businesses and gave them my card and welcomed them and wished them well. And the business owner said something about talked a little bit about why they moved their business to Onalaska. And they said, it's such a vibrant community. And I just about fell over when he said that. I said, have you been watching the news lately? And he said, no. But the wife, though, who's the office manager, she noted, what are all these shirts on this community, like these live on, like what's going on? I said, those are all of our city, or at least who you're seeing, our city of Onalaska employees. So, obviously we were right on with the vibrant community. So, but I just about fell over when he said that. So, that's one of the perks of going out and meeting new businesses and the wonderful things they talk about our staff and when they have to come in and either pull sign permits or, any type of anything with inspections or any of our departments. So always kudos to our staff. There's a reason why people are moving to Onalaska and opening businesses here, and I hear it time and time again. So and that's really, that's Onalaska. That is the reputation that our staff, I firmly believe, has built through the many, many years, and it continues today. Regarding the issue at hand, I have been very proud to represent this council this past council year. I would be very excited to again serve this next council year as your council president. Everyone serves differently. I've always been one to recognize that. I am one who is a self-described municipal government nerd. I love everything about it. That's why I'm at the majority of meetings. That's how I learn best and retain my knowledge. And my door is always open. Anyone ever has any questions or concerns, certainly contact me. But I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Joanne, can you do the roll call vote?
Larry Jurassic,
Aye.
No, you
Oh,
vote by
I
saying
will.
that, okay.
What's that?
You vote by saying the name of the person you're voting for when your name is called. Sorry, I should have said that to start with.
that's okay. We'll just start over. Larry Jurassic,
Diane Wolf.
Stephen Knott,
Diane Wolf.
Diane Wolf,
I'll abstain.
Leanne Stokes,
Diane Wolf.
Sean McAllister,
Wolf.
Dan Stevens.
Wolf.
Congratulations, Diane. You are our new council president.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the trust and confidence.
Item 7, appointments of the standing committees, boards, commissions, and other committees. The attachment is in the packet for the council's consideration. I would like to ask you to accept the appointments as presented.
I moved that we approve the 2023 committee board commission appointments as per our packet, item number 7.
I second.
We have a motion on the floor by Diane Wolf. It's been seconded by Leanne Stokes. Is there any discussion? Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. So just quick question, are all the openings filled with this packet?
Yes, all the openings are filled, and one of the reasons I was going to say during the other section, I forgot to. It was, it's a historic year. As long as I've been doing this, I had a lot of, well, I will say about 10 people reach out to me with different varying interests in committees. Unfortunately, the committees that they were primarily interested in weren't really ones where I had openings, but we did change the structure of the Long Range Planning Commission, if you'll remember, and that gave me an opportunity to relocate some of those people onto other committees. So all of the people that are listed here, I believe, are known to you or have served on committees before. That's why I didn't provide any kind of bio, because I felt they were not just coming out of the blue.
And thank you. And I appreciate I appreciate that. And I understand it. I mean, it is a difficult job to fill every spot. It's not easy because it's getting, I think, harder and harder to find people who want to be on a committee. So I'm very encouraged by that. People have reached out and they're interested. So that always looks good for us long range. But I know in past years with previous mayoralships, there's been sometimes we go 3, 4, 5 months before they're full. So this just helps, I think, this council moving forward and staff with a fully loaded committees, commissions, and boards. So thank you for your work on this.
You're welcome. Any other comments or questions? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the appointments as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 8 is resolution 19-2023. This is a resolution designating public repositories and authorizing the withdrawal of city monies. Like to ask for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve resolution number 19-2023. Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Alder Knott. It's been seconded by Alder Jurassic. Is there any discussion? Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sabrina, I don't mean to spring this on you, but I know that you'll handle this just fine. Just wondering, just out of curiosity, if you could just briefly review where our money is going or going through, floating through, in or out. And I know there's like either credit card payments or maybe the state money. Could you just briefly kind of give us a 2-minute synopsis of who of these institutions, financial institutions, and how we use them? I think it'd be good for a good refresher for those of us on council, good refresher for someone coming on. And I think it's always good to have something in the minutes, because when I look back, I'll have all that information so I don't have to bug you again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Associated Wealth Management out of Green Bay, that's who we make our bond payments to. So typically 3 to 4 times, 4 times a year, I'm making payments for our bonds to Associated Wealth Management. Dana Investments, Charles Schwab and Company, and Citibank. So those 3 are all kind of interrelated. This is the new investment agreement that we approved just at our, March meeting. So we are working on getting our money invested with Dana Investments, who uses Charles Schwab, who then has an intermediary bank of Citibank. So they all are kind of all related. I put them all on our depository resolution. Cooley Bank of La Crosse, we do have some savings accounts sitting at Cooley Bank. Same with State Bank Financial of La Crosse and Onalaska. The State of Wisconsin Local Government Investment Pool. Any state payment that we receive goes to the local government investment pool. We do have some investments sitting there as well. They typically earn similar to a money market account type of interest. Then Bremer Bank, they are our main bank here for the city of Onalaska. That is where we take our deposits on a weekly basis. Twice a week, we take our deposits down to Bremer Bank. So they hold our main checking account. And then we also have some savings accounts with Bremer Bank as well. US Bank, we make a bond payment to US Bank as well. So that's why they're listed here. Elevon is our credit card company that we use through Tyler Technologies. All of the credit card transactions go through Elevon. Then N-Court is what we use for our joint municipal court. And through N-Court, people can make payments through PayPal and Venmo. So that's why they are both listed as well.
Thank you for that, Sabrina. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments regarding resolution 19? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve. The voting will be by roll call.
Leanne Stokes,
Aye.
Sean McAllister,
Aye.
Larry Jurassic,
Aye.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Item 9 from the Personnel Committee is approval to hire up to 2 sponsored police officers to attend the June 2023 Law Enforcement Academy in anticipation of multiple officer retirements at the end of 2023. I think I'll turn it to Sabrina first to talk about the memo that you prepared regarding the funding options for this position, with the chief being on standby.
All right, thank you. So in your packets tonight, I did prepare a memo since at the last common council meeting, it was asked to have some hard numbers of the cost of hiring 1 recruit, 2 recruits, what that was going to cost us as a city. So Chief and I sat down, we discussed potential hire dates. We also talked about how the recruits, when they're in their academy training, they get 70%, 75%. We pay them 75% of their regular rate. So I crunched the numbers and the total cost to fund 1 recruit position, that would be sponsoring them through the academy. And then they would start after the academy through the rest of the year. Would cost $47,617.84. With that note, there is one other thing that Chief and I discussed, some budget savings. We do have an individual who is out on military leave right now. So the expected savings, when you roll up both salary and benefits, is $50,328.01. So therefore, option 1 would not have a budgetary impact based on those savings from the individual that is on leave right now. Option 2 would be to fund 2 recruit positions. The total cost there being $95,235.68. Of that, $44,907, we'd have to use either general fund reserves or hope that we would have salary savings in other areas or come under budget in other areas, or revenues would be more, things of that nature. To be able to fund 2 positions, we just have to hope that we would come under 47,000 in other areas or use reserves for option 2. Option 3 is kind of a hybrid option that Chief and I discussed, and I'll let him talk a little bit more about that. I'll just give you kind of the budgetary cost. The estimated cost for number 3 would be $64,531.63. Therefore, the budget impact would be about $14,203.62. Again, to come up with that, we could either use general fund reserves to cover the overage in hiring, or potentially that could be by vacated wages in other areas for the city. The other thing that I will mention, you know me, I'm conservative in my budgeting. So I did budget for benefits being a family plan, right? Because that is worst case scenario, right? If we hire someone that is going to take family insurance, we have to be able to fund that. So that is included in the estimated cost that I have.
How much is that?
It's around 16,000 for both.
Thank you. Okay, Chief, do you want to just re-summarize what you would like to do?
Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. I recognize this is a difficult decision, and I'm sorry to have to bring this in front of you. But thank you for listening and having to come up with the decision tonight. So as Sabrina has nicely outlaid what we discussed, I'll just kind of expand on option three. Option three is not preferred, all right? It was kind of a last Hail Mary that if, as a council, if you decide to only fund one position tonight, if we're lucky enough to even get one position, I would ask that you entertain option three, just because I would at least like to make an offer to another candidate potentially and hope that maybe they would honor that and we'd hire them at graduation. But I can tell you that that is a bleak option. After talking to several departments in the area today, I can tell you that Holman's hiring, the sheriff's department's hiring, La Crosse is hiring, Sparta's hiring, West Salem's hiring, we're hiring. Every agency around here is hiring multiple officers. They're looking for people. So if we try to send somebody or we extend an offer to somebody in the academy, I feel it's almost a guarantee that they will get picked up by another agency in this area. And so likely we will not have that option come their graduation. So again, it's not a good option, but I wanted to at least present that to you.
Okay, let's see, where do we start? Larry Jurassic.
Chief, do you have dates yet for the officers that are retiring that we could, if they retire, we wouldn't have to use that money? Or use that money?
All three that have indicated that they are retiring at this point are right around December 31st to January 4th.
So school would be what, halfway through by then?
No, school would finish October 15th. I think it graduates. And so then they would graduate, they'd come out into the field training program, and that is over 4 months. So best case scenario, if we hire somebody in June, they would not hit the road until February of next year. So we would have about a 2-month gap with those retirements. But that's a minimal gap as compared to waiting to hire until after our current officers retire. We're looking at almost a 9-month gap.
But you're only saying basically 4 months after they leave to hire the new people, or am I losing it?
Well, if the current people retire at the end of the year, let's say, we would then, if so, we'd have to hire them, the new people in January, let's say, and they would start the academy in February.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Alder Stevens.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am, in the interest of maintaining continuity in public services, I'm inclined to make a motion to support option two. However, before we do that, I know option two was largely predicated on some anticipated retirements. If we did go with option two and some of the retirements did not pan out, what would be your policy as an administrator? Would we have extra police officers, or how would you handle that?
First off, I guess I would meet with our city administrator and finance director to discuss where we are at as a city in general, to see if there was unexpected other vacancies throughout the city that might be able to fund those positions. If that was not a situation that was plausible, then, you know, whether that was one or both officers didn't retire, then we would probably be looking at layoffs with those two new police officers.
And with that in mind, as a department head, I'm assuming that your preferred go would be option two.
Correct.
Right. I'll make a motion that we fund 2 recruit positions at a cost not to exceed $95,235.65.
I second it.
68 cents. I amend my motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for option two, motion by Alder Stevens. It's been seconded by Alder Stokes. Thank you for that. Alder Stokes?
Chief, can you tell us, just based on the calls that you have in the city, what would be the amount of people that you should have under you as far as being police officers?
Sure. So some years back, my predecessor had done a staff study, and I can confirm with those numbers based on information that I've had. Our police department should really be a sworn staff of 38, and currently we have 31. Now, you know, we greatly appreciate the 3 that were added over the past few years, so we're very grateful for that. But we just bring that up in context so you know that we're already really 7 short of what we should be to handle our calls for service and our volume. And so if we're down people through these retirements and the extended amount of time it takes to hire and train, that's just a extra burden, extraordinary burden on our department to try to maintain services, critical services in the city.
Just a comment too. I did a ride along with Officer Elias last Friday, and that's on a day shift. And it was continual calls, one after the other. I think he had one maybe 15-minute area where he could let Murray out and let him get some exercise, and then the next call came in. So I understand exactly what you're talking about, and I do support option 2.
Thank you. Let's go over to Alder Knott, and then we'll go to Alder Wolf, and then we'll go end with Alder McAllister.
Yeah, so I got bottom line up front. I cannot support option 2. There are several reasons for that. Starting off, first off, with the funding methodology that was described by Sabrina. On 3 occasions, she used the word "we would hope." I actually put that "we have to hope" was used exactly 3 times, and hope is not a method. So I applaud Chief Bashbeck for looking to the future and trying to figure out how to mitigate the impact of having fewer officers going through a hiring process. And option 1 obviously has no budget impact, so that one's very easy for me to support. But we got caught on this just a couple of years ago, folks. It was just a couple of years ago that we got caught with optimistic hiring, and when it led to layoffs. And I want people to remember that. A couple of people on this board were here when that happened. So we have 2 huge assumptions right now going on. Number 1, that the retirees will retire when we expect them to retire. And number 2, that these funds will just happen to be there when we need them. And I am just absolutely convinced that this is too much risk, that we're going to end up putting ourselves into a situation to where it is very possible, if not even probable, that we're going to have to lay other people off in order to pay for this bill. And I can't do that again. So I am a hard no on option 2.
Thank you for that. Alder Wolf?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just writing several notes. So I have about 4 or 5 points, and I guess I'd like to lead with 2 questions for finance and then follow up with my comments. I'd like to know, number 1, what does Sabrina as our finance director support? And number 2, how much have we currently drained out of the general fund for 2023? Do you have any, like kind of like where we're at? Because I know it's only April, and I get nervous. I do not like to take money out of the general fund. I'm as conservative as you are with that.
First off, my recommendation, obviously, I talked about as finance director, option 1 is my favorite option because there's no budget impact. But as a manager and myself, I see this position that Chief is being put in. And obviously I live in this community and I want police officers on the road. So I definitely am in more support of option 3 because it does have a little less of a budgetary impact. And so again, my recommendation would be option 1 or option 3. And in regards to your second question, I guess I'm not quite sure what your question
Well,
is.
to date, for the first 4 months of this year, I'm trying to remember if it seems like we've talked about it, but I don't know if we've actually made any motions where it's cleared where we have taken money out of the unexpectedly unbudgeted money out of the general fund for 2023.
Not out of the general fund. We have had some unexpected expenses happen, our front door, for example, but we will use equipment replacement funds for those. But there haven't been any unexpected items out of the general fund.
And if our credit rating is going to get hurt, because obviously we want to keep a AA2, if we're going to get hurt or dinged by Baird at all, it would be the general fund if we take money out of the general fund more so.
Correct.
And obviously it's a certain amount and all that kind of stuff. And thank you for that. As someone who's, I've always been in support of safety, I will continue to be in support of safety. But there's a caveat to that for me personally, and that is, but not at the expense of all other departments in the city of Onalaska. And that's where I'm getting a little nervous. And case in point, and I appreciate the chief, bringing this forward, because I think there's an old saying, those who fail to plan to fail. And we need to have a plan. And just like we need to have a succession plan. I just saw in the news where they were talking about the storms, and they interviewed City of La Crosse and City of Onalaska staff. And there was our own Lane, talking about, what was going on with the city. And then they interviewed some La Crosse people. Now, I don't know if the numbers were true, but the reporter said two people in Onalaska and 12 in La Crosse. So 2 people in Onalaska, 12 in La Crosse. They're not 6 times larger than we are. We have our own staffing issues in every single department. And I've been saying that for years. You look at fire department model, they've been saying for years, they should have this number. And even with that increase, they're still under. I looked at parks, who I've been talking on behalf of the last few years. They were 1,000 hours behind just a couple of years ago, because they literally got decimated by about 28 or 34% just a couple of years ago for budget. So that's kind of where I'm at, that every department, you look at the engineering La Crosse, they have all these engineers, and we have one serving engineer upstairs with really 2. But so, there's a reason why we have to go ahead and we have to farm out work, because we just don't have the staff. We have the expertise, we have the talent, but we don't have the bodies. So I think we're all kind of hurting. So as much as I appreciate this, I don't know how I'm going to vote, but I just wanted to express my concern that I typically am support of my finance director, but I think we need a plan, but I am going to listen to others and get their input. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder McAllister, do you have any questions or comments?
No, nothing yet. I think she was right when she said I was going to cut my teeth on this topic.
I did do that before the meeting.
So no, I don't have any words of wisdom for you yet. So, but soon.
Okay, very good. So the motion on the floor is to go with option 2 as described in the packet. Does anyone want to make any final comment? Can start over there. Alder Stevens.
I actually share a lot of Alder Knott's concerns. I think I'm just kind of looking at the analysis a little bit differently. He's absolutely right on all of his points, that there is a lot of speculation out there. And so I wanted to get an answer from the chief on what would the plan be if this doesn't go through, and we got that answer. So if we go with the option 1, as a finance director pointed out, we're financially solid, we're good, but we know that we're going to have a little, that we're going to be short on personnel in the police department. We believe that there are going to be retirements. We don't know that, and it's not up to us if they're going to retire or not. But if we want to have continuity, we really ought to fund the 2 positions. If we don't, we will have a lack of personnel, and there's going to be a shortfall in that department, and potentially we're either going to have less public safety for a while, and there is it was like a 15-month span to hire that we know we're going to have. If things go the way we think they're going to go, we'll be fine. We don't know that, and there's risk. So as long as the chief said, in the case that things do not go the way that we think that they're going to go, potentially we'll have to do layoffs. I would rather risk that, thinking that we're probably not going to need to do that, and then have the continuity, and we have our officers as much as we can afford in place for as long as we have, and then they're trained sooner, rather than guaranteeing that we're going to have a shortfall. So I'm looking at this with, we know what the plan is. It's not a comfortable plan, and I would prefer not to do that, but I would also really rather prefer not to be short in our police department. So that was my methodology. I don't disagree, but you know, if we have a plan, not all plans have to be comfortable. I mean, it's a tough business we're in sometimes, and we have to make those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to make a final comment?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Alder Jurassic.
Yeah, in the last year, I've had the option of riding along 3 times. Each time they're totally professional, and each time out of the 3, they were on the go 80% of the time. There wasn't a whole lot of breaks to them. I could see the point that the chief is having as far as if he's going to be down 5 people, it's going to make those people that are on shift even more hours that they're going to have to put in, or more locations that they're going to have to spread themselves out over. I could see the reasoning behind Steve's motion, and I can see the reason behind option 2. This is one of those picky ones that you're not sure which way you're going to go until the hammer comes down. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other? Okay, Stephen?
Just real briefly. So to me, it's not a question about the professionalism of the police department. I think that we're universally in agreement with that. To me, it's a question of risk, and how much risk are we willing to incur? Option 1 mitigates the delay in hiring by 50%. And to me, that is the least risk averse option out there. We got burned on this just 2 or 3 years ago, and I can't do it again. It's just too much risk for the city.
Thank you. Okay, other 3 people, do you want to make a final comment, Leah?
No, I'm fine with my comments.
Okay, Alder Wolf?
Thank you. Thank you again, Your Honor. Yeah, I also have done all three shifts right along. Just fantastic experience and the professionalism. And I've always said, they obviously have a good leader. You and I have had a number of talks about that. And no way will should my vote reflect my feelings about the police department. But when we had to lay off those 5 people a couple of years ago, that was my worst experience in my 11 years on this council. And I just cannot go through it again, because that was really hard. That was, and to me, that was almost a stain on the city of Onalaska, because we had never done that. And it was very difficult. And I don't want to be part of that again. But as a follow-up, Chief, is there, I hate to ask you this publicly, but have you scrubbed and scoured your budget? Is there anything that you can find where you can give a little? Because when it comes budget time, we're sitting here, and when someone wants something, we're like, do you have anything to trade?
Vehicle. I wish I did, but honestly, there are some other minor vacated wages that we're looking at right now to try to help fund a promotion to investigator for a short time before the current investigator retires. So there's cross training.
Yeah.
So I want to use those funds in that area.
Yeah.
So I don't really think I could not come up with significant enough funds in our general operating budget, like supplies or gasoline or any of that to help fund.
You're tight like everyone else is.
Right. The only last thing I guess that I would kind of throw out there is, Alderman, I brought up the risk, but I'd also bring up the risk of, if we fund only one position tonight, that pretty much guarantees we're going to be 3 positions down next year, because there are 4 retirements. So with only funding 1 and then waiting to hire the other 3, that means a guarantee of going 3 short. And what risk does that bring to our current staff and the city as well, by being 3 police officers short? And I can't predict if there's any other retirements or things going on, military leave next year as well. So
Chief, if we were short that long, would that affect overtime?
Certainly, overtime, morale, all those issues. I won't go there. But yes, that certainly will have a play. Now, Of course, overtime is not gonna amount to the same amount as hiring a police officer, the second officer, then it would be an easy answer, right? And we could avoid that by avoiding overtime, but certainly there's gonna be thousands of dollars in overtime that will be incurred next year, being down 3 officers for a good part of 9 months.
Okay, thank you. Alder McAllister, did you want to ask anything? Okay, is everyone ready to vote? All right, let's do the voting by roll call so that we have a clear.
Can you read?
The motion on the floor is to approve option 2, which is to fund the recruiting of 2 police officer positions. This has an estimated cost of $95,235.68. The budgetary impact would be $44,907.67 estimated. And we would use general fund reserves to cover the overage in this hiring if there were not vacancies that counteracted it in the meantime.
Could I ask a follow-up question? of
Sure,
finance?
yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Sabrina, as our finance director, so I'll try to find what is the amount again? If we go with option 2, it would be
44, the budgetary impact?
Yes.
$44,907.67.
Okay, thank you.
And that is worst case scenario.
Okay, so Sabrina,
Numbers.
if we were to take the 44,907.67 figure from the general fund and we didn't do anything else for unbudgeted withdrawals out of the general fund reserves this year, we're not going to get dinged by Baird for that small amount, I would assume.
If it just kind of depends how we end at the end of the year. I mean, if we go over budget for the whole year, then it just kind of depends on how much that would be. But if it was just 44,000, no. No. On $9 million in reserves, no.
Okay.
But it's dependent on, we're in a period of really high inflation. In other areas, will we go over budget? Will we meet all of our revenue expectations? So I feel like I can't give a solid answer like, yes, we will for sure be okay, but I think we would be okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. This vote on the floor is if you are in favor of option 2. A yes motion means option 2.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Leanne Stokes,
Aye.
Larry Jurassic,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
No.
Sean McAllister.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-1. Thank you for the discussion. Item 10 from the Plan Commission, Resolution 22-2023. This is a preliminary resolution to vacate and discontinue a portion of Overhill Drive located in the city of Onalaska, La Crosse County, Wisconsin. Do you want to have Katie introduce the item or are you okay with just moving ahead?
I move that we approve resolution 22-2023.
Second.
Motion by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Knott to approve resolution 22-2023. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Item B is approval of the contract for professional services for the 2025 to 2045 comprehensive plan project with the Lakota Group in the amount not to exceed $104,676. Would you like to have Katie introduce the item or are you okay with moving ahead?
We can make Katie earn her paycheck.
All right, Katie, can you please introduce this item?
Thank you. So included in your packet this evening is a contract for our comprehensive plan project. If approved tonight, we're hoping to begin to start the project with our long range planning committee as our steering committee in May of this year. It's hopefully going to be approximately a 12 to 15 month project. The Lakota Group is based out of primarily Chicago. They do have a person who works in central Wisconsin who will be a lead with the city as well. Happy to answer any questions that you have. We're very excited to work with this firm and see what they have to offer to really embrace the Live On slogan that we've been working with our brand. And they're very excited to work with Onalaska.
Thank you for that, Katie. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Otherwise, we could get a motion on the floor.
I'll move to approve the contract for professional services for the 2025 to 2045 comprehensive plan project with the Lakota Group in an amount not to exceed $104,676.
I second it.
Okay, the motion was made by Stephen Knott. It's been seconded by Leanne Stokes. Is there any discussion? Okay, the vote is to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 11 from the Parks, Recreation and Library Board. Item A is Resolution 20-2023 regarding the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. Dan, you want to explain what we're doing here or why we're doing this?
So thank you. This item was actually approved during the December 2022 council meeting. What we have done, we are working on a grant application for the DNR stewardship. So these resolutions are required as part of that grant application that is due the 1st of May. So as we're going through the grant application, that's why you see these two resolutions before you tonight.
I move to approve resolution number 20-23.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Alder Knott. It's been seconded by Alder Wolf to approve Resolution 20-2023. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item B is Resolution 21-2023 regarding outdoor recreation aids. Do we have a motion regarding this resolution?
I move that we approve resolution 21-2023.
I second.
We have a motion by Alder Stevens. It's been seconded by Alder Stokes to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Item 12 is adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Stephen Knott. It's been seconded by Larry Jurassic. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we are adjourned. The time is 7:58.